Good morning. Hi, everybody. It's your history professor, June. And this is our last full week of class, although we do have half a week next week. No costumes for me today, nothing funny. I'm out of energy, and I'm in my bedroom. It's really pretty. There you go. I've spent a lot of days in my sweatsuit in bed. How about that? Not sleeping, but not doing much of anything. Anyway, some housekeeping stuff here. Next Wednesday is our absolute final last call for anything that you need to submit, whether it be up to 2 former InfoLit assignments. All the how-tos are posted, they're open, they've been revised for how to submit things online. Um, InfoLit number 9 and 10, now a week from today, last call for those. And for any extra credit that you have, you can use your common sense with those and submit them online to me in whatever form seems to make sense. Today, quiz 9 is all day today, Wednesday the 29th, and quiz 10 will not be next Wednesday, which is the last day of class. Well, the last day for you to get me stuff. It'll be the Wednesday after that. Quiz number 10 is your final 5 questions, same as everything else. I'll put the topics up. And so that's 2 weeks from today, and then we're done. And congratulations, we've made it. Most of you, nearly all of you, have stayed with me. I told you I wouldn't let the plane go down, and we're just about ready to land. And that's a good thing, because, I'm pooped. So anyway, for History 122, a couple things to look at. One is the presentation from 1945 to 1988 about the Cold War, because the minute before World War II was even over, Germany was beaten, and the new enemy was the former ally, the Soviet Union. And Joseph Stalin, who lived until 1953, was a monster. And I grew up afraid, like everybody my generation, afraid that Russia, the Soviet Union, was going to drop a nuclear weapon on us. See, the Cold War was a tough time. I remember getting under the desks, like that was going to save us. Your head would be okay, your butt would fry. So look at that about the Cold War. I'd also like you to quickly look at the 20th century in Africa and the Americas, North America, South America, Central America. But then the most important thing, there are 2 films that are essential because the whole focus of this course has been power to the people since the 1500s, since the first peasants' revolts in the 1300s in England, people wanting to be treated like the adults that we are, not wanting to be property or treated like children or made to do things that don't make sense. So anyway, I'm so happy I found online streaming. One is, it's called Power to the People. It's from the People's Century. Oh, it's called People Power from the People's Century, which is a fabulous, fabulous documentary on the 20th century. And this is about 1989. They focus on a particular year. This is the year that the Soviet Union started coming unglued and that the beginning of the end of communism happened. It looks at all the attempts for freedom and independence that happened in Europe as countries that were under the Soviet bloc fought for their independence. Sometimes it was peaceful, the Velvet Revolution in Czechoslovakia. Sometimes it was really tough. But this film is extraordinary, and I really hope you watch that. And the other thing, more important than anything else, is watching Born Under the Red Flag. It's long, but it is how to understand China today. There's a link to that. It's from a series on China, Born Under the Red Flag, and it talks about everything that led up to that same year that saw such good news in Europe as nations became free of authoritarianism and communism. What happened in China didn't happen. Tiananmen Square, I was there 2 years ago. It's probably, I think, the biggest outdoor space in the world. It was crammed in 1989 with students and all kinds of other people who all they wanted was freedom of speech and more rights, more individual rights. And what happened was the Chinese Communist Authority sent in the army and we don't know how many people were killed. The most recent estimate from just this past year is 10,000 people just killed, and there's no mention of it. You can talk about it in China, but only privately. You cannot talk publicly about it. And what the Chinese did, what the authorities did, was say, we're not going to give the people freedom, we're going to give them capitalism. And so even though China is supposedly a communist nation with a communist economy, it's not. It's a capitalist economy. It is filthy rich. I was there in 1992. It was poor. There was one stupid, just crazy department store in Beijing. Everybody was really proud of it. And I went back 2 years ago. I was stunned because it's it's fabulous. The cities are unbelievable. There are high-end stores everywhere. I'm talking like Tiffany's and Coach and better than that. They're just everywhere. People have really done well materially, and that seems to have convinced them that freedom of speech is not that important. So anyway, those two films, People Power and Born Under the Red Flag. So for History 238, for Holocaust, I'd like you to watch streaming The Memory of the Camps, which is about after liberation of the camps. Imagine, it wasn't the end of much of anything. It was the beginning of trying to find your life, trying to find your family, trying to find where you had lived, trying to find your property, and lots of those things just didn't happen. So it was a blessing when in 1948 the modern state of Israel was created in what had been land taken from the Jews in 70 of the Common Era, 2,000 years earlier practically, and was the home of Palestinians who were Muslim and Arab. So